Hello everyone and welcome to this market commentary video from Optimal Ninja. Up on screen we have Wednesday, May the 15th, 2024 and it's just after the open of the US equities session at 9:30. About an hour earlier we had a flurry of economic news releases which resulted in all these bars printing almost instantaneously and the market reached the 5300 level, and currently as you can see we've closed just on 52.98, so we're nudging up into the highs again. So what's our macro strategy at the open? Well, given the prevailing bullishness, we're looking for longs only. We certainly don't want to start shorting the highs. So there's an important point here. Context is king. Don't trade against that. In terms of setups, as always, we're looking to predominantly buy at value. Two areas immediately suggest themselves to me. That's on these two rising trend lines. The lower trend line is more attractive because it's longer and it points to this obvious support level at 52.91, but the upper trend line points towards the upper quarter line, so that's a valid area also. So this is a useful tip. If you can spot more than one reason to enter a trade in a certain area, it's likely to be a stronger setup simply because the area is relevant to more traders. So ordinarily this upper line is not particularly strong, but coupled with the upper quarter line and the prevailing sentiment, we can take it as an entry. But let's see what happened. So after 5 bars, we're filled at the upper trend line, but 52.98 now looks like resistance, so I exit there for a 1 bar scalp of 12 ticks. A couple of bars later, we pull back into 52.91, and this looks like a great long entry. We're pulling back into this rising trend line, back to prior support, and we have an algo plot on the lows. But surprisingly, we continue down to the prior swing lows. Now it's tempting to hold that trade open, hoping for buying on the swing low, but I advise exiting at a 1 bar loss. If a trade doesn't go to plan, one should assume the worst and close out. It's possible the market may sell off down to midpoint, which is more than 24 ticks away, and I strongly advise setting a maximum stop distance of 24 ticks. As it turns out, the market finds buyers ahead of midpoint and then rallies strongly to retest the highs. So basically our read of the market was correct, but for the reasons stated it was best to exit. My advice in these situations is just part of trading, don't beat yourself up. We're currently flat for the day, it's not a disaster, so let's refocus on the next trade. This pullback is a possible long entry, but it's very likely to be just a 1 bar scalp back to here. Also the close of this bar is a break of this micro trend line. In other words, the market pulled back to that trend line up here and didn't find buyers, so this bar is not very appealing to me and I stood aside. However, this is an entry worth taking. The trend line here is much stronger than the micro trend line we looked at for 3 reasons. Firstly, it encompasses a minor swing low. Secondly, because it's about half an hour in length, so is relevant to traders looking at higher time frame charts, in contrast to this trend, which was just a few minutes. And thirdly, it closes exactly on the trend line. So for all these reasons, it's worth buying. And then we have the big breakout move above 5300. You'll notice that we don't have any algo plots on the breakout bar, which indicates to me higher prices to come. If you weren't long down here, all is not lost. You could enter on this trend move. Normally I prefer to buy 1 bar pullbacks, but in strong breakout moves like this, there often isn't a 1 bar pullback, and the best you're going to get is a deep tail pullback, as we have on this bar. So there's a couple of approaches you can use to buy in these instances. Firstly, you can aim to buy on half bar pullbacks, i.e. when price pulls back by 6 ticks into the prior bar, which will get you a half bar discount off the highs. Or you can wait for price to retrace deep into the prior bar and come back to retake the prior bar high. As you can see from this trend move, either of those approaches would have enabled you to profit from this breakout move without chasing the market. One final bar to look at, if you were still trading at this point, this is a nice long setup with an algo print very close to this rising trend line, so you could have bought the close of that down bar for a second leg up. And with that I will sign off. My name is Richard, until next time have a great day and all the best with your trading.